Having that experience has been really important, actually, for me, in having my own business, because it is, working as a therapist, supervisor, and trainer in private practice is definitely a business. And I think that whilst there are certain differences that apply because of the requirements for the way in which we work in terms of ethics, for example, or confidentiality, and things around that nature, that there are certain things that it makes it more difficult for us to do. I think that the general principles, actually, of marketing and sales, in many ways do still apply, actually. Yeah, definitely. Things like really understanding your customer or your client, and focusing on meeting their need, for example. Thinking about how you promote yourself, what sort of communication channels you use to talk to let people know about the kind of service that you can offer.
Yeah, so some real similarities in the work that you've done. But of course, marketing and thinking about therapy as a business can feel a bit sticky, often for therapists. So one of the things we thought we'd do is ask you to talk a little bit about what you do with your art. In terms of marketing, and just see what the differences, the similarities are with your therapy practice. Would that be all right? Just to ask you,
absolutely.
How do you tell people about the work that you do with your art?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, one of the big similarities is that what I produce as an artist and the work that I do as a therapist are completely unique to me. You and I were sort of chatting about this before we started, John, and I was saying that I think that one of the things that I think is really important is that we are, as an individual therapist, the relationship that you offer to the client is completely unique. It's not the same as anybody else will offer, because you are who you are. And I think that's the same with art, really, in that the work that I do, it might have some similarities with other people, but ultimately, nobody else is going to be doing anything the same, highly unlikely anyway. So I think that's the first thing that for me is actually really similar, which is that, you're talking about wanting to let people know about something that is completely unique to you. So then it's about, how do you let people know who will have a connection or understand or be interested in the specific thing that you offer. So I think for me that's about awareness, raising awareness of who you are as an individual, so who I am as an artist, and how I do that, I think, is through a variety of different mediums, really. For example, I've got a website, which for me is very much, it's about, I suppose it's an online brochure or portfolio, really. I mean, I don't know if people can, if you share the link on the chat room, but if people have a look at it, they can see that there's various different galleries which have got examples of my paintings in them. So whilst I don't particularly expect to sell very much directly from the website, and I'd be very surprised if I did, because I think that you're talking about people investing a significant amount of money and wanting probably to have an experience of the painting before they actually buy. And I think that actually that same thing applies in terms of therapy, which is that I think that whilst we might have websites which explain about who we are and what we do, that's for me, it's really step one in many ways about making contact with people. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really interesting what you're saying. Saz has put the link to the website in the chat room so people can see how you present yourself, but you're saying that's step one. Like, art and therapy are both big investments for people, so they're going to need something a little bit more.
Yes, I think so. I think it is about relationship, actually. I think in the case of the painting, it's about people starting to have a relationship actually with painting. Building if you're going to spend a few £100 on something, you want to be sure that you're going to live with it You want to be able to live with it, you know, for a few years. It's not it's not such a disposable purchase, I don't think. You know, so people, I think quite often I've noticed, you know, thinking about somebody I sold something to at the Art in the Gardens in Sheffield last year. You know, saw it actually at the event, thought about it for a week or two, phoned me up, asked me to bring it over, and then decided that yes, he was definitely going to have it. You know, so I think people need to do that sometimes, need to think about it and decide if yes, it is going to fit, and so on and so forth. And I think sometimes, you know, in many ways, therapy can be the same. I mean, how many times have